Vajram pushpam phalon toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati taraham bhakti parikam ushnami prayatma. One offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, food, or water, and then suffering. 27. Yat pradoshya dashnasmi yat sridasya etavisyasya bhaktya kulyam arpam. O son of Kunti, all that you do, all that you eat, all that you offer and give away, as well as all austerities that you may perform, should be done as an offering to me. Text 28. Shubha Shubhapala Evam Mokshise Karma Bandhanai Sannyasa Yoga Yuktatma Vimukto Mamupaishyasi. In this way, you will be freed from all reactions to good and evil deeds. And by this principle of renunciation, you will be liberated and come to me. Text 29. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshasti na priya ye pashanti tu mam bhaktya mayi te teshu chapyaham. I envy no one, nor am I partial to anyone. I am equal to all, but whoever renders service unto me in devotion is a friend, is in me, and I am also a friend to him. 30. Api chetsudumaracharo vijate mamananyabha sadhur evasa mantavya samyak vyavasito hisaha. Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotional service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated. Text 31. Kshipram bhavati paramatma shasvachantim nigachati kanteya pratijamihi ame bhakta pranashriti. He quickly becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O son of Kunti, declare boldly that my devotee never perishes. And text 32. Mami partha vyapashritya ye pisyu papayonayaha striyo vaishas tatha shudras te piyanti param gatim. O son of Pritha, those who take shelter in me, though they be of lower birth, women, Vaishyas, merchants, as well as Shudras, the workers, can approach the supreme destination. So we'll go back to text 22. We'll read the translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Rishi Gauranatai Ki Jai. But those who worship me with devotion, meditating on my transcendental form, to them I carry what they lack and preserve what they have. Purport. One who is unable to live for a moment without Krishna consciousness cannot but think of Krishna 24 hours. Being engaged in devotional service by hearing, chanting, remembering, offering prayers, worshipping, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, rendering other services, cultivating friendship, and surrendering fully to the Lord. Such activities are all auspicious and full of spiritual potencies. Indeed, they make the devotee perfect in self-realization, and his only desire is to achieve the association of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is called yoga. By the mercy of the Lord, such a devotee never comes back to this material condition of life. Kshema refers to the merciful protection of the Lord. The Lord helps the devotee to achieve Krishna consciousness by yoga, and when he becomes fully Krishna conscious, the Lord protects him from falling down to a miserable condition life. Maharaj, if you'd like to share some thoughts, we would love to hear.
So this confirms that devotees practicing devotional service full time, as we have been discussing recently, as taught in the temples of the International Society of Christian Brothers, they should qualify as those who are meditating on Krishna's form, and you have you have all the other activities. Renounced going to the cinema, renounced going to the sports contests, the clubs, dancing shows, are renounced intoxication, so many things. So Krishna is encouraging them that you've given up so much for me, and I promise you that whatever you whatever you lack, whatever you shame I'll carry it. I'll see that what you have is maintained. Because Arjuna asked the question, what happens to someone who takes up the path of bhakti yoga and then due to worldly mindedness he gives it up prematurely before he reaches perfection? Does not he perish like a ruling cloud? It's a question. And it's a good question. What if I take up devotional service, I give up my other occupation, my other pursuits, and I don't complete it? I complete it, that's well and good. What if I don't complete it? What if I fall down? Then do I lose everything? No. Whatever you have gotten, or you've gained by performing devotion, and there's much to be gained. Just even walking around the Tulsi plant 4 times in the morning, enough to eradicate the most sinful activities that one may have ever performed. In other words, it's more potent than going to prison for 40 years, serving a 40-year term for something you did wrong. And just like social service go around. You'll see? Very easy. Just making that assertion, I'll take care of you. But then what about the other people? They say you're taking care of them. They're getting preferential treatment. But what about the rest of us? They're punishing us. No. Krishna asks the people to be patient with, as Prabhupada answered a letter. You received a letter from a lady who had been contacted by a devotee and was trying to sell her a book. And the lady felt it was a little overzealous. She complained. She said, I think these people are becoming impersonally anymore. Personal. But Prabhupada defended them. So please forgive them. They may make some mistakes. But they're doing the right thing. So don't discourage them. Don't be disappointed. Tolerate them. They're doing the right thing. They're serving God. They're giving up all their bad habits. So that's the way the Lord's saying here. Don't worry. These people may not act perfectly. And they make mistakes. But still they're doing the right thing. And they should be overlooked. Shipram bhavritam atma shashat shantim nigashti. Quickly, very quickly will they become purified. Because this process of performing devotional service is so powerful. And no one has to worry that these people are creating servants. For example, when Prabhupada took the devotees to Vrindavan, he brought the Westerners to Vrindavan. They were not all very mature. And so one day Prabhupada was hearing from different people that he was in Vrindavan. He was in the family of he was the son of Kumar. He's Prabhupada's friend. He's a respectful man. He was a solicitor. He was criticizing, went around, and then when Prabhupada came in, Prabhupada said, "What is I've heard about your criticism? What are you running?" Yes, he said. I said, "What are you running here? Circus? You got a circus to Vrindavan?" Said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Your devotees are riding the back of rickshaws, riding around the marketplace, and they just take whatever they want, like sweets and they just keep on driving." Say, Hare Krishna. Prabhupada was really upset. He called them in. Five devotees that seemed to meet that. They seemed to be the ones. They're brought in for Prabhupada. And this gentleman, and Prabhupada said, "What are you doing? You can't do that." He said, "Prabhupada, we're following Krishna. Krishna is stealing butter and yogurt and sweets. So we want to follow him. So we're doing that." And Prabhupada pointed out a few differences that Krishna could do. Krishna could do things that they couldn't do. And he told them, "You shouldn't do this anymore." And they never did it again. So they didn't know the etiquette, they didn't know the stirring, shouldn't, because they knew like they came there with a sincere attempt to follow Krishna and to serve Krishna. So very quickly they'll become purified by this process. You don't have to worry. Another time there was a devotee. He was criticizing another for misbehavior. Prabhupada didn't like to entertain such discussions, but sometimes he had to. So this devotee was saying how this other devotee had done things wrong. And then he was saying, "I think this devotee should be publicly accused and criticized in the public so everyone knows." Prabhupada said, "No, that is between the Guru and the disciple. Guru will take care of it. Guru will arrange for whatever recompense or he needs to correct himself. If he needs some penance, that's between the Guru and him, not just everyone." So that's what Krishna is saying. If a devotee performs something improper, then Krishna will correct it. Krishna will take care of it. But one doesn't have to worry. And we see that eventually the devotees get all good quality. Yasyasti bhaktir, bhagavati kinchana sarvatra tesuraha. Arabha bhakta shmahogana nortenasto tomahi. The devotees, because of their devotional service, they develop all the good qualities of Krishna, of the demigods. Whereas the non-devotees, because they're on the mental platform, they never develop good qualities. They don't have good qualities, even though it may seem like they have good qualities. They may be well dressed. They may give some charity. These are all nice things, but actually, they can't be trusted. They can't be really respected because on the mental platform, they can change in a moment. Whereas a devotee, even if he's in the most difficult circumstance, he doesn't give up his good qualities. There's so many examples of like the devotee, he went to school, Sudama Vipra. He was so poor. When he got older, he got married. He was so poverty stricken. It was just amazing. He wasn't disturbed. And even though his friend Krishna was so wealthy, so his wife convinced him to go and ask Krishna, who was living in Dwarka, asking for some charity. He's so wealthy. So he went there on his wife's plea. And they didn't want to ask Krishna. He wasn't inclined to ask him. He was so happy just to see him. He thought, it's the greatest benediction. And there's so many examples. When devotees are put into difficult circumstances, their good qualities are still there. They still behave properly. They don't take advantage. So that's a good quality of a devotee. It comes from Krishna. Krishna will give them all good qualities.
Jai. I'll read the next text. 23. Whatever a man may sacrifice to other gods, the son of Kunti is really meant for me alone, but it is offered without true understanding. Persons who are engaged in the worship of the demigods are not very intelligent, although such worship is done to me indirectly, Krishna says. For example, when a man pours water on the leaves and branches of a tree without pouring water on the root, he does so without sufficient knowledge or without observing regulative principles. Similarly, the process of rendering service to the different parts of the body is to supply food to the stomach. The demigods are, so to speak, different officers and directors in the government of the Supreme Lord. One has to follow the laws made by the government, not by the officers or directors. Similarly, everyone is to offer his worship to the Supreme Lord only. That will automatically satisfy the different others and directors of the Lord. The officers and directors are engaged as representatives of the government, and to offer some bribe to the officers and directors is illegal. This is stated here as avidi purvakam. In other words, Krishna does not approve the unnecessary worship of the demigods. So I've had practical experience of this. I grew up with a garden and plants, so watering the root of the plants seems like common sense. But I've seen other people, somebody tells them, hey, can you go water the plant? And they're sitting there watering, the leaves of the bush. And you walk over and say, well, what are you doing? He said, I don't know, you should water the plant. So somebody who has knowledge sees that this is foolish behavior, it doesn't make sense. So similarly, the point being made here is if we're worshiping the demigods, we're worshiping Shiva and Brahma and Surya and Ganesh and Kali, all for some material benefit. And Krishna is saying that whatever is meant for Krishna, for the Supreme Lord Bhagavan. But due to our misunderstanding, we're offering our sacrifices, our prayers to these other beings without a true understanding, because all the demigods are specially empowered beings in the material world, and that power comes through Krishna. So why not worship Krishna directly? Otherwise, we worship some beings who are temporarily empowered for some temporary benefit. And what really good is there? There's no eternal benefit, but Krishna, whatever we do for him, like Maharaj is pointing out, is never lost, and he's always there to preserve what we have. So by worshiping Krishna, one can never go wrong. By sacrificing everything to Krishna, Krishna will always protect us and give us more than what we can actually take. And give so much blessings and mercy, but it may not come in the form of wealth, money, education. Krishna is giving us something much, much grander, which is bhakti, loving devotional service unto him. And by that love directed towards Krishna, then the soul becomes filled with ananda to the highest degree, the most bliss, the most satisfaction. And you don't have to wait till future lives to experience it. You can experience it right here, right now. Simply have to just throw your arms up and say, okay, Krishna, this is for you. I'm going to give my life to you. Whatever I got, I'm going to do for you. And Krishna surely is there to reciprocate. As he says, Ye tamam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajamyaham. Krishna is rewarding the individual souls according to their degree of surrender. So how much we approach Krishna and how much we sacrifice to Krishna, Krishna is right there to repay us as much as he can. And I say as much as he can because Krishna famously addresses the gopis of Vrindavan who go running to him in the middle of the night and giving up everything. He says, there's nothing I could do to possibly repay you. You'll just have to be satisfied with your attempts alone. And this is devotional service. The devotee is so much mesmerized and happy just to approach the Lord, entranced. And the Lord, to the soul who's fully surrendered and fully committed to this loving devotion, there's nothing that the Lord could give him other than himself. So that's love, unconditional love. So if somebody has any comments or questions, we can open up a discussion. Otherwise, I'll just keep reading some text and purports. Okay, text 24. I am the only enjoyer and the only object of sacrifice. Those who do not recognize my true transcendental nature fall down. Purport. Here it is clearly stated that there are many types of yajna performances recommended in the Vedic literatures, but actually all of them are meant for satisfying the Supreme Lord. Yajna means Vishnu. In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it is clearly stated that one should only work for satisfying Yajna or Vishnu. Perfectional form of human civilization known as Varnashram Dharma is specifically meant for satisfying Vishnu. Therefore, Krishna says in this verse, I am the enjoyer of all sacrifices because I am the Supreme Master. However, less intelligent persons, without knowing this fact, worship demigods for temporary benefit. Therefore, they fall down to material existence and do not achieve the desired goal of life. If, however, anyone has any material desire to be fulfilled, he had better pray for it to the Supreme Lord, although that is not pure devotion, and he will thus achieve the desired result. So when Maharaj was speaking about Prabhupada taking these devotees to Vrindavan, it reminded me of another pastime I've heard of. Once there was a devotee in Vrindavan and one of Prabhupada's disciples, and he went wandering around Vrindavan, going to the prominent temples there. And when he went to one of the temples, there was a pujari at the temple, and he was telling this devotee who's from the Western world, he's like, oh, it's so nice that you come to India to worship Krishna. So nice, so fortunate you are. Maybe in your next birth, you'll come and you'll take birth in a Brahmana family. And this devotee was very disturbed. So he went to Prabhupada and he asked about this. And Prabhupada told him, You go back and you tell that Pujari that if he's fortunate, and his next birth, he'll come back and take birth within the Hare Krishna movement. So simply by chanting Hare Krishna, one can achieve all the desired results of life. Whereas one could be born in a Brahminical family, be trained in Vedic etiquette, culture, but still not know the point of life. And that is right here. Krishna says he is the only enjoyer and the only object of sacrifice. Those who don't recognize that, they fall down. It's like, imagine going to school, to university, and you study for years and years and years. And finally, it comes time for the final exam. And you say, I did enough studying. I think it's time to go. I don't want to do the final exam. That's what it's like to follow Vedic culture, to do so many religious principles, religious observances, fasting, different sacrifices, whatever it may be, but to come to the point of realizing Krishna is the supreme, that Krishna actually is the supreme Lord. You do so much work, so much struggle, but you don't come to the essence of what it's all about. Krishna, in the 15th chapter, what does he say? Vedaischa sarvera hameva vedya. Of all the Vedas, I am to be known. So the whole purpose of Vedic knowledge is to come to know that Krishna is the supreme person, that we should establish our lost relationship with Krishna. Srila Prabhupada, he also mentioned one time that somebody asked him about the Krishna consciousness within India, whereas most people in India are aware of Krishna. And he said that the people in India are 10 miles away from Krishna, but they're running away from Krishna. Whereas the Westerners may be 100 miles away from Krishna, but they're running to Krishna. So the more that we run to Krishna, all these superficial, external things are irrelevant. It's all about that love and devotion to Krishna, whereas somebody could be trained in etiquette and culture and so many different principles of life. But if they're going the opposite direction of Krishna towards material pleasures, then what use is there? You're just becoming more degraded. So we could see this. Many people come to America seeking opulence, wealth, comfort of life, only to become more and more degraded by this culture. I've been around the universities distributing books, and you go distribute books and you meet some people from all over the world. You meet people from America, from everywhere, from India. And you can see there's many students coming from India. And you could tell they come from a completely different culture. And the reason why I mention this is that Americans, you could see, especially in the summertime, they're dressed almost with no clothes, very provocative. They're all going out partying, drinking, very wild. So for one to come here and want wealth and to have a good time and comforts, you naturally take up this association that you're surrounded with. So just by being in such a vicinity of such people, it pollutes our consciousness, and we tend to think such things are normal. It's not normal to pursue illicit sex endlessly. It's not normal to get intoxicated because you're not happy with yourself. It's not normal to rebel against religious principles and do whatever you want to do. This Krishna say, Yashastram vidam uchucha vartate na kamakarata na sasidam abhavnoti na sukham na paramgatin. One who disregards the scriptures finds no happiness in this life. No happiness. No happiness. He does not reach the supreme destination. What is that supreme destination? Coming to Krishna, realizing that I am a spiritual entity and I'm not this body. I'm not American. You're not a male. You're not Indian. You're not old. We're all eternal spirit souls, jivas, part and parcel of Krishna. Krishna is the supreme whole, and we are very tiny pieces. And it's just like a fire. When there's a fire, it's roaring, it's raging, but then sometimes it shoots sparks. And when those sparks fall away from the fire, the sparks go out. So similarly, when we turn away from Krishna, like Maharaj was mentioning, we may be rich, wealthy, smart, beautiful, but we have no good qualities because our fire has gone out. So it's temporary. It will be gone. Be here today, gone tomorrow. So we work so hard to go to school, to study, to get money, to get married, to build a house. Gone tomorrow. So this is the nature of the material world, and we can't help that. And we all have our own conditioned nature to deal with. But if we connect that nature to Krishna, then surely we'll become satisfied and fulfilled on a spiritual level. And this is the whole premise of the Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna is wanting to fight. I mean, he's at this battle to fight, and he says, I don't want to fight. This is too tough. So he wants to run. And Krishna says, no, you fight. This is who you are. This is your conditioned nature. Better to use that nature in service of me, and then you'll become purified. You'll become spiritually sound. But if you run away from your conditioned nature and the situations that it brings and your karma, then nothing but trouble. Trouble, trouble, trouble. So we have to bite the bullet, so to speak, and accept the situation that we got ourselves into, all the mental problems, all the physical problems, all the desires that we have embedded in our heart. It's only our own doing. There's nobody else to blame. Certainly Krishna is not to blame. So if one logically plays that out, then we're the only one to blame. So then to take wherever we're at and engage in Krishna's service. This is the solution to all of our problems. So I'll keep reading. I'll go to the next text unless anybody has anything they'd like to mention. Text 25. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings. Those who worship ancestors go to the ancestors, and those who worship me will live with me. Report. If anyone has any desire to go to the moon, the sun, or any other planet, one can attain the desired destination by following specific Vedic principles recommended for that purpose. These are vividly described in the fruitive activities portion of the Vedas, technically known as Darsha Purnamasi, which recommends a specific worship of demigods situated on different heavenly planets. Similarly, one can attain the Pita planets by performing a specific yajna. Similarly, one can go to many ghostly planets and become a yaksha, raksha, or pishacha. Pishacha worship is called black arts or black magic. There are many men who practice this black art and they think that it is spiritualism, but such activities are completely materialistic. Similarly, a pure devotee who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead only achieves the planet of Vaikuntha or in Krishna Loka without a doubt. It is very easy to understand through this important verse that if by simply worshipping the demigods one can achieve the heavenly planets, or by worshipping the Pita, achieve the Pita planets, or by practicing the black arts, achieve the ghostly planets, why can the pure devotees not achieve the planet of Krishna or Vishnu? Unfortunately, many people have no information of these sublime planets where Krishna and Vishnu live, and because they do not know of them, they fall down. Even the impersonalists fall down from the Brahmajyoti. This Krishna consciousness movement is therefore distributing sublime information to the entire human society to the effect that by simply chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, one can become perfect in this life and go back home, back to Godhead. They're just saying that wherever our attention goes, energy flows. So in essence, Krishna reiterates that throughout the Bhagavad Gita in many ways. What you're dwelling on, what your mind is thinking by coming in contact with your senses, then you become attached, develop lust, you hanker after certain things. Krishna is saying whenever you die, whatever your state of consciousness as to your time of death, then that you will attain. An animal body, another human body, a body on a heavenly planet. And, similarly here, wherever we put our worship, if we're worshiping demigods, if we're worshiping our past ancestors, our family members, if we're worshiping celebrities, wherever we're putting our energy, our focus, then that is where we are headed. So Krishna is inviting us to worship Him alone. And in this way, He'll protect us from all fears and invite us into this spiritual world, Vaikuntha, where there's no anxieties, no worries, no problems. And even beyond that, one can enter into Krishna's supreme abode, Goloka Vrindavan, where every step is a dance and every word is a song. Very wonderful place. Yeah, you have something you want to say? In the purport, it was saying that like hearts are materialistic. But I was just wondering why materialistic? Why is it materialistic? So, majority of people are living on the gross material platform, just knowledge of the body and how to derive pleasure through the body and the senses. But a little bit higher than that is knowledge of the subtle plane of existence. The mind, the intelligence, ego, and beyond this layers of the material world which we can perceive, there's subtle layers that are there, such as astral realm, different effects there. So some people are able to perceive different effects in the material world above the gross level, and then they think that is spiritual. But it's actually not spiritual, it's just a subtle aspect of the material world. So people take to these practice and these arts and they gain some kind of power and potency, how to manipulate people, how to, get what they want and different things. But it's just a subtle aspect of the material world. It's not spiritual. Does that make sense? So by hearing from the Bhagavad Gita and hearing from the devotees, then one can immediately cross over that subtle plane of the material world and enter directly into the spiritual domain. And that's simply done by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In Prabhupada's description of the Maha Mantra on that album that they put out early in the 60s, Prabhupada said this Maha Mantra is, it's a spiritual sound and it springs from the spiritual world. So I like to meditate on this, that it's like a spring. You could use the word in different ways, like a spring, like springing into, or like a water spring. But I like to view it as, it's a spring trickling from the spiritual world. It's the spiritual world there, and just by meditating on it takes our consciousness to that spiritual dimension as well. So we simply just have to chant and hear. So it's almost time. I'll just read this next text, which is a very nice one. Patram pushpam palam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati taraham bhakti paritam ashnami prayatatmanaha. If one offers me with love and devotion a leaf, a flower, fruit, or water, I will accept it. So something that's very significant in this shloka is that Krishna, he uses this word bhakti twice. So this is what Krishna really wants. It's not us to turn to the demigods and worship them for some temporary benefit, but turn to Krishna and worship him with bhakti, with love and devotion. And in this purport, Prabhupada, he makes the example that a rich man, it's not that he can come to the temple and just give a little leaf, a little flower. And, that's what Krishna said. That's what he wants. And Krishna's not measuring, the size of our donation or what we give. He's seeing the consciousness, the love and devotion that's involved. So sometimes we might not have so much love and devotion, and we just have to do the numbers, chant 16 horrible rounds, but it's better than no rounds. But always working towards, working with a more loving devotion spirit. So thank you everybody for participating and hearing Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Gauranatai ki jai. Panchakapatarubyascha kripasanibhiva chapatitanam pavanibhi vaishnavibhyo namo namo.